and welcome to our January 14th meeting of the Topsfield Conservation Commission. I'm Dod Shamrock, your chair. We'll start tonight's meeting with a hearing on an RDA 2025-10, 249 Raleigh Bridge Road, map 80, lot 2, Alfalfa Farm Winery, Distillery, and the Beverly Linebrook Consulting Company. First we have to read the legal notice. Andrew, you got that?
I do. A public hearing will be held via remote participation through video and/or audio conference Wednesday, January 14th at 7 p.m. to consider a request for determination of applicability for grading for proposed porous parking area in a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland at 249 Raleigh Bridge Road, map 80, lot 002, applicant Donhauser. This is in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw Chapter 62. Meeting and participation instructions will be listed in the meeting agenda, posted to the town clerk a minimum of 40 hours prior to the meeting date, or contact conservation at topsfield-ma.gov. Signed, Susan Winslow, January 5th, 2026.
Okay, have the abutters receipts been received?
Yes, they have been issued.
Yes.
Okay, and would you say your name, please, for the commission?
Sure, yeah, sorry. Hi, this is Kevin McHugh. I'm with Lindbrook Consulting, and I am here as a representative for the property owners.
Terrific. Do you have a screen you can share?
I do, yeah. You want to give me 1 second?
Sure.
I'll pull that up for you.
Take your time.
Sorry, it's a new laptop, so I'm just...
Well, I've had internet problems all day, so I'm well aware of those things.
That would just seem to go away. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, take your time.
There we go. How's that?
Good.
Sorry to interrupt, Dodds, but I did get an email. Did you already discuss this, that Maureen was trying, she was asking if there was a technical issue with Zoom? Sorry.
It looks like she's here now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't see her on my screen, and I saw the email. My
Okay,
apologies.
I had enough technical problems today.
I'm sorry.
There's one part
I
of
am
the
here.
screen that's,
Can
yeah.
you hear me? And I've got the video off because I'm dealing with the flu, and
Oh.
Well, I don't want to make you all watch me.
Well, thank you. Okay, Kevin, I just seem to have one black rectangle to the right of my screen. Is that supposed to be there?
That shouldn't be. That might be everyone who is... You see, how's that? Did that go away?
Nope, not yet. Now it's gone.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, I think that was the little images of everyone. So I closed that.
Okay,
Do you want me to get started?
sure.
All right, great. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. So I'm sure you're all aware of the project that's been going on. It sort of started out at our Alfalfa Farm. So obviously the project overall, I'll just go through some, I won't go into details. I'm sure you all know what's, essentially what's happening out there. But the overall project is for the redevelopment of the former Alfalfa Farm winery into a new winery, brewery, and distillery. So, some of this, the work at the building has been going on. But what this is for, the RDA we submitted is essentially for the proposed construction, like a component of the proposed construction of a new porous parking lot, which is shown here off to the left side of the screen. So to give you a little idea of what's out here, the 100-foot buffer zone to the wetlands is shown right along the edge here. If you can see my arrow. The delineated wetland area is down here, and that was confirmed through an ANRAD that was submitted and approved a few months ago. So that's the approved wetlands limit here. So again, the 100-foot buffer is right here. So what the property owner is proposing to do is, as part of the redevelopment of the new brewery, winery, distillery, is to construct a new parking lot again off to this side. The parking lot itself would be outside of the buffer, but we are trying to design and construct this parking lot so that it is ADA compliant. So to do that, we need to shift some of the grading a little bit and essentially flatten this area a little to get it so that the grades meet the ADA requirements. And to do that, we do have to do some grading in the area outside the buffer. But then to tie in those grades, we would have to extend a little bit out into the buffer zone just to tie the new grades in with the existing grade that out in the field. So when this is done, all the work that's being done within the buffer zone will look the same as it does now. It'll be just slightly regraded, but it would again have topsoil and it would be vegetated with the same grasses that are all throughout the field now. So it'll look essentially the same as it does now. The stormwater flow would be essentially in the same direction, heading off towards the wetland area. The use and the benefit of the buffer zone would remain the same as it is now. So it wouldn't really be any significant changes. Again, it's just some minor grading to tie in that parking lot. But we wouldn't be doing anything with the parking lot itself. All of that is outside of the buffer zone. There had been a question about, there are some stones along this edge right now for as some of this grading work and cleaning up from what had been out there before was taking place. Those stones are going to be moved over to the left side of the left property line where there already are some stones along the property line itself. So those just be added to that edge of the property. So those stones will be moved. And in fact, might be a little bit easier to see. As part of the package, we'd submitted an aerial overlay, and this is from 2023. So this might help too. So you can see right now there are stones down along here. Those are going to be moved outside of the buffer, and those would be placed along this property line where there are already some stones that set the border. And this image sort of helps to show kind of where all the disturbance was in the past. So this is obviously the old milk barn is gone now. This is going to be the new parking lot. It already has been cleaned up by the new property owner somewhat. So all the old stockpile areas that were out there have been gone. It has been grassed over and it's starting to grow back now. So, they already have made some significant improvements to what was there in the past, prior to them purchasing the property. But when this is all done and the parking lot is built, again, the area we will be working in the buffer now as part of the parking lot would look just the way it does essentially right now. It'll be back to grass. So hopefully I'm not rambling too much, but I hope that covers, an overview. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer the best that I can.
Okay, thank you. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Can I ask you how far into the buffer zone you're going to have to regrade to keep the grade, as you say?
Yeah, it's about 20 feet into the buffer zone.
And what's the difference in topography? Can you quantify that?
Sure. So it might be best if I show it here. Sorry, let me move around a little bit. So the slopes are going to be about the same, but it turns the direction a little bit. Right now, flow is heading down, I guess, to the south-ish towards Route 95. When we redo these grades, it's actually going to shape it a little bit. So the grades right outside the edge of the parking lot will be heading a little more directly towards the wetlands, but then, they match up with existing grades. So it turns again towards Route 95. So the grades, they're essentially going to be about the same slope as they are now, but the direction changes a little bit. Again, it's just in the immediate area of the edge of the parking lot.
Ultimately, the water's going to sheet in the same direction because it's taking that turn.
Right. Yep.
So okay.
And where's the tree that's in this wall?
Where is the tree?
Yeah.
I don't know if it shows, does it show it might show in the existing conditions plan. I know there is that small tree that's still out there.
Yeah.
And that tree would more than likely have to be removed, but as part of the construction of the parking lot, they could certainly install the overall plan in the end is going to, when the landscaping is done. I know the landscaping is going in front of the planning board. They can add, the owner is going to be adding a number of trees. We haven't shown the trees here as part of the RDA, but we certainly could have discussion about adding trees along the edge of the parking lot if that tree does have to be removed. And I think it would have to be removed as part of the parking lot project, but that is, So it's not here on the existing additions plan, but it's down in this area down here. And it's right along the edge of the buffer.
Yeah.
I understand that the parking lot itself is outside the buffer zone, but what material are you planning, and you may not know this yet, is the parking lot going to be made out of? It is going to be a pervious parking lot?
Yeah, it'll be fully pervious. It is what we're proposing to do. We've been talking to the planning board about this, is a true grid system, which
Okay.
I think you have at a couple of other properties out
Yep.
here. So it's all going to be fully true grid system with stone. So it'll be fully permeable parking lot.
And then the overall grading of the parking lot itself, I understand it's probably going to be pretty close to level, but is it going to generally still slope towards to wetlands for, 100-year storm kind of sheeting if something happens?
Yes, it is
Okay.
going to slope down this way.
Okay. And that
So-
follows the existing sort of path of the water of that area. I understand that there was a building and, gravel piles and stuff, but generally the slope is in the same direction there.
Yeah, we do have the grades shown here. I'm sure they're hard to see.
Yeah.
So we are following the grades as best we can.
Yep.
But we do have to do some flattening, mainly up in this part. This is where we really wanted to make sure we get it to be ADA compliant.
Yep.
So they could put handicap spaces up here and make it more accessible to get to the building.
Okay.
So we're trying to keep this area especially under 2% slope.
Okay. Yep, I understand. Jackie, I see you have a note here about a stone wall.
Yeah, Kevin mentioned the stones that are there. I mean, I don't know if you call it a wall, but it's kind
Okay.
of just like a pile of stones that are in a line. And Kevin, you said that those are being moved outside the buffer zone, correct?
Yes, yeah, they're right along the edge of the buffer right now. And in fact, if you go to the site, you can see we've got a couple of stakes with flagging that where we have marked out the 100-foot buffer. And some of those stakes are right in the stone. So it's right along the edge, but we're going to move those stones that are over here over to this side. There already are some stones along here that sort of set the property line, like not officially, but they do
Yep.
kind of follow the property line over here. We're just going to add them into that row of stone that are there now.
That'll look nice.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah, I just saw Jackie made a note of a stone wall. I wasn't sure if the stones that you were speaking about were the same ones that she was referring to, but that all makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And then in terms of it's currently grass in that area of the buffer zone. That's maintained lawn grass currently?
It's agricultural land.
Okay.
And so I know I think in the past, the prior owner had done some mowing and even had done some mowing into the wetlands.
Okay.
We're not doing that anymore. So, it's obviously this is within the buffer, so it'll be maintained like a buffer. So it is going to stay as the same grass that's out there now.
Okay. But it is that the section that's going to be disturbed is currently being mown regularly, correct?
Jackie, you know that better than I do, because I know there was a back and forth about how that should be maintained.
So it seems like the area that's in the buffer zone has been mowed regularly aside from the portion directly around the stone barrier. It does seem like there's been some mowing that's been encroaching into the wetland itself, which I think shouldn't be happening. I think we may need to be I'd recommend that we put a condition on this, that there should be no further mowing inside the wetland itself, but in the buffer zone, there's definitely been, it's historically been mowed. Aside from right around the stone wall where there is that little small tree. And it was probably difficult to mow around the stones. I do see that there's a tree shown on this plan in gray on the proposed plan that's inside the buffer zone, and then some that are right outside it. We typically require replacement for any tree removal. So I think we should condition this.
Yeah,
that
and we
the
understand that
tree
there's
needs to be there and needs to make sure it survives.
Sure.
is there gonna be a barrier between the paved or whatever hard surface parking area and that area in the buffer zone, the grassy area?
The plan right now is not to have any type of barrier. And again, we do show these proposed trees that Jackie was talking about. Currently, I think we had a meeting on site on Friday. So the plan right now is not to install these trees. That tree that we're talking about that would potentially be removed, that obviously would be replaced. But as of right now, those trees wouldn't be planted. But that's something that I know the owner is talking with the planning board about landscaping. So those may be adding in or put in the future. But as of right now, we aren't planning on putting trees along here. But along the edge.
Is there a path from the parking lot, like a walking path from the parking lot to the buildings proposed? Can I see that?
Yeah, there will be. Sorry, let me see here.
Yeah, that would be outside the buffer zone though.
Yeah.
No, I understand. From my questions really pertain to what the purpose of leaving the grass in the buffer zone is. So it's sort of connected. Because right now, from my perspective, there's stuff there that has to get removed, like the stones, the stone wall, whatever it is. And so I guess I'm curious if the applicant would consider perhaps putting maybe a pollinator garden or something there rather than going to grass. I mean, there's stuff there. So, we're looking to enhance the environment, particularly when there's this field. So that was kind of what I was going to suggest, rather than going straight to grass, more, and that would keep that area kind of low maintenance too.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be open to discussing that because he is talking about, again, potentially doing some significant tree planting. So, when this project does go back in front of planning, and we do have a stormwater permit application that's pending. It's actually pending the results of this meeting for the review of that stormwater permit application. So I'm sure, the property owner will be more than happy to talk about some options in that area within the buffer zone. We were just thinking putting back grass because that's what's there. So just continuing the field.
Well,
but if you think something else would be more beneficial, I'm sure he'd be glad to talk about that.
Well, Jackie, I mean, the idea is that we're putting a condition on whatever relief comes out tonight. Right?
I mean, we could continue this hearing if you want time to discuss that option before we make a decision, but we could make the decision tonight that like a -3 approving it with certain conditions, one of them being that there needs to be like a pollinator garden or more like native plantings beyond just grass on that sloped area.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sure he'd be glad to have that as a condition to discuss that further. Again, unfortunately, we're hoping, and I know it's your decision, but I'm hoping we could get a negative determination because we are waiting for the outcome of this hearing so that the planning board then will move forward with reviewing the stormwater permit application. Yep. So, that adding the pollinator garden could certainly be done as part of that, the stormwater permit application too.
Yeah, but we're not involved in the stormwater, Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's something we could discuss, and I guess it depends on what the commission votes on this. Sure. That might just be a condition. I don't know.
Jen, we also need to get comments from the public too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just one more thing to bring up before we do that. This area has pretty extensive, the property has pretty extensive wetlands, pretty extensive buffer zones. I would like to see some memorialization of those lines with some wetland markers. We have conservation posts and stuff that can be installed. Sure. I would like to see that, in as many places as possible. The area that we're disturbing, because it's currently, my understanding is it's basically currently maintained lawn. Putting conservation markers on that, I don't know that necessarily makes sense. But if we were to have something like a pollinator garden, I would like that memorialized with like conservation posts.
Sure.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, I think we could
And-
also consider putting them around the wetland itself to help prevent mowing in the wetland.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Jackie, do you have anything more you want to say on this subject? Anyone else?
I'll show
Yeah.
you all a photo of what it looks like. I mean, this is several months old, but it might be helpful for you all to see.
Right.
Taking public comments, I would like to say something.
yeah, we'll open to public comments in one moment.
Oh, I am sorry. No problem. Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah,
See
so
the
that
slope.
was taken several months ago, obviously not in the winter, but
Yeah.
you can see the stones there and the wetland off to the right.
Right. So
Yes.
I don't think it's necessarily what being allowed to be wetland, but that's an area that is not currently being disturbed. It's sort of out of the scope of what the work is being done. I maybe I'm not thinking about that correctly. I just yeah, I don't know.
I mean, my view on this is that, we should always try to improve if we can.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at the stone area and I see trees and shrubs and not necessarily grass in that whatever how many
Yep.
feet that area is. So I think it'd be perfectly appropriate for something like a pollinator garden. It shows good stewardship of the land. It promotes the community and of course our goals,
Yep.
as a conservation commission. And it's an agricultural area, so I think it would certainly benefit to have pollinators in that area as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that idea. And if that ends up being something that's installed, I definitely like that to have conservation markers as a, the garden would be permanent, but posts are very permanent and very obvious, showing the perimeter of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more questions before we open to public comment, Dodds.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right. We're open for public comment, folks who would like to talk. Speak.
Mr. Harrington?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I apologize for my interruption earlier.
Oh, that's all right.
All good. We were clear.
Yep, no problem. We all do it.
I'm just curious how the proposed wedding reception business figures into all this. From my understanding, there's going to be setback from the driveway closer to, and I'm at 281 and Raleigh Bridge Road. It's going to be set back closer to 95 and closer to Amblewood Farm. Is that wetlands, and there's going to have to be access and egress into that wedding reception area? How does that factor into all of this?
Yeah, as of right now, that's all been taken off the plan. So that's been removed.
Could you say that again? What's been taken off the plan?
Yeah, so as of right now, the wedding venue, the wedding tent has been removed from the plan.
Wow. Okay, that kind of caught me by surprise. Maybe I haven't been following it. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, I guess we're back to our committee.
Okay. So I guess the question that we need to determine is the type of response that we want. Condition as to not. So do we think that this will be altering the resource area in a significant way? Or, are we finding that this is going to be probably minor alteration?
Well, Jackie, does that determination affect our ability to condition the application?
So a -3 determination would be appropriate for a decision under the Wetlands Protection Act, if the commission agrees the activity can be conditioned to not alter a resource area.
Okay.
And then the decision under the bylaw would be if the commission agrees the activity is minor under the bylaw.
Okay.
Which
we
would be
might
a
be-
-6.
Is that clear to you, Andrew?
Yes, no, it is. I guess then the thing to discuss is, we're having an alteration in the slope and a removal of a tree and some unmowed areas. If we are to condition the installation of some sort of pollinator garden or something similar to that, do we consider that net neutral to the space and therefore not an alteration of the resource area? Right? Am I understanding is that making any sense?
Yeah. I think it does.
I'd say for me, the change in slope, it's the water is going to be going into the same direction. It's currently grass. And so, if we do condition a pollinator garden, the infiltration will be probably just as good, if not better, because of the variety of species that are there. And it would be, net benefit to the local wildlife right there. So I personally would be okay conditioning this, assuming that, we put in pollinator garden is, kind of a general term right now. I'm not sure that, I don't know about the specifics of that quite yet.
Yeah.
But I think that with something like that, I would be able to consider this, not, or with that condition, it would not be negatively impacting the resource area.
So we would say pollinator garden, 1 tree, and markers around the wetland areas?
Yeah.
I think so.
Does that sound realistic to the applicant and possible?
Yeah, I think that sounds very reasonable.
I think it's only going to make the property more attractive.
Yeah.
And I think, Andrew, you mentioned a marker at the pollinator garden, but I would be okay with something that says it's a pollinator garden. Like, it doesn't even have to be that it's a resource area. It could just be like, this
Yeah.
is a pollinator garden.
Agreed. I would like
Yeah.
to see more, because, I'm picturing, you have on one side of the pollinator garden, the hard line between the parking lot and the garden, but then on the whole backside, there's going to be kind of a mowed area around it. I'm assuming the rest of the lawn will continue to be mowed. I would like to see that the perimeter of that memorialized somehow. So I'm fine with it being just, labeled as a pollinator garden. I just would like to see multiple posts around the perimeter that do memorialize the perimeter of it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, we could come up with something that looks nice too and delineates that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps the condition to put a pollinator garden could be that, that the applicant, obviously consults with Jackie on appropriate species. I'm sure there's lots of information out there on how to do this appropriately.
Yeah, I guess the other question that I have then is what size garden are we looking at? Is it just the square footage of the unmowed area, or all the way up to basically everything that gets regraded that needs to become naturalized? Those are the two ends of the spectrum. I'm not saying that either one is what I'm necessarily going for, but I do
think
that
it's
we should
something
be,
melded in from one end to the larger place behind that.
yeah. I think our
would be
condition
really
should
nice.
be
Yeah, very
slightly
specific.
more specific than a garden of some size.
Yeah. I'm
I
okay
don't know.
with just the area that's not that's not lawn, I'm okay with the stones and the tree and that,
Yep.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think I would be okay with that too.
And we could go out, before we start doing this too and meet up with Jackie and make sure we get that area covered appropriately. So
Yeah.
we certainly want to work with you to make sure we get it right.
Yeah. So I guess in terms of square footage, we're looking at of at least the same square footage as the current unmowed area and at least 1 tree to make up for the loss of the tree that will have to get removed during the grading process.
Yep, that's reasonable.
Okay. Can you backtrack and make that a motion, Andrew?
Let's see. I suppose I can attempt to unless Jen wants to.
You got a better handle on this than I do.
Do I? I'm not sure
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that.
You
Yeah,
didn't
Um,
want to, didn't want to do too much tonight, but can you do it?
Sure.
You didn't feel,
If I cut out
you
during
didn't
this, I
feel the
apologize.
best, but rise to the occasion, Andrew.
I know. It's just if I cut out in the middle of it, I apologize. I can't do anything about it.
No.
Conservation. Application conservation agent, and I'm just making a quick note for myself.
I can do it. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
I'll do
I
it.
mean, I want you to do it, but I can do it.
I'll do it. And you guys will just interrupt me if I miss something, okay? Because it's been a
Really
long
good.
day.
Yeah.
All right, I will make a motion. This is with respect to RDA 2025-10 for 249 Rowley Bridge Road, map 80, lot 2. This is the Alfalfa Farm Winery, Distillery, and Brewery, and Lynbrook Consulting LLC as the applicant. That motion is to issue a -3 and a -6 determination of applicability for that RDA, with the standard conditions and the additional conditions that the area being regraded that currently is not existing lawn be converted to a pollinator garden, that the tree being removed be replaced with another tree, and that markers be installed both to designate the pollinator garden as such and also marking the perimeter of the wetland area that at the edge of the existing lawn, and that the applicant will meet with Jackie in advance of the work to delineate the area being transformed into the pollinator garden and being regraded, and of course where the markers are to be installed. That is my motion. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I'll second that motion.
Okay.
How do we vote? Dodd Shamrock, yes.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
And Kayla, aye.
Go bees.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
And of course, keep us posted on your project as you go along, please.
We certainly will.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have an RDA 2025-08 for 35 Rear Main and 15 School Avenue, map 41, lots 133 and 31. It's the Topsfield Garages, the LLC Hancock Associates. Request construction of an unpaved stone dust walkway path, including minor modification plan, which is continued from December 10th meeting. And do we have,
I have two legal notices for.
oh, two, it's a bunch of different
I'm sure
ones
that I have-
in here.
Yes. Well, but they have there's I'm slightly confused because there's three things in front of us, but
I
I only
know.
have two legal notices, and these both seem to be for notice of intents, not the RDA.
Jackie?
Did,
you
I
set
think
it
that's
straight?
because we already opened this at another meeting, so I think we don't
Yeah.
actually have to read the legal notice.
Okay, got it.
Sorry
Thank
if
you.
I put
On
that in the
this
notes.
particular one.
Yeah, we already read it at a different meeting, so we can continue the meeting that's already began in
Got it.
November.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
So-
so do we have someone from this project to tell us a little more about it?
Yep. Good evening, Jay Polakowitz with Hancock Associates. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Yes.
Absolutely, please.
Oh, did I share the wrong one? I did. So I'm using two screens, first time doing it on this computer. So I apologize. Am I still doing the same thing? I am. Technical difficulties. All right. Can everyone see this or no?
Yep.
Yep. Mhm.
You can see the plan?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So just to give a little bit of context on this plan, so I am representing three projects tonight. It's three in a row, and they're all somewhat related. So I just want to kind of show you quickly how they relate before I get specifically into this one. So here's the project site. There's Main Street located over here, School Avenue here. This is the DPW building, which is the big project we'll be talking about in a little bit. And then this is the fire station over here. This is the Box Tops building. So an ORAD was issued for this site back in November, I believe it was. And around the same time, we had submitted an RDA for this plan, but we withdrew it at the time or continued it at the time because as we developed the DPW site, the plans kind of changed. So this is the DPW building, as I said. This is currently owned by the town, and once the DPW development is approved, the owners, Topsfield Garages, his name is Tim Collins, I believe he's here tonight, will be purchasing the land and developing it. So Tim will be purchasing this lot. This lot here is 35R Main Street that is currently owned by Tim. Then this lot down here is owned by Greenbelt, and this is 15 School Avenue.
And where's Box Top again, please?
Yep. So you can see the corner of it right here.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm looking the wrong. Okay, yep.
And then over here. So this plan is a little bit deceiving. North is straight up on this sheet, and then it changes on the next sheet. So apologies for that. So here's the plan that we're proposing for the trail. As mentioned before, this is a 30-inch wide stone dust trail. Tim, the owner of 35R Main Street and Greenbelt, have been working together on developing this trail. Without Tim allowing the trail to cross his property, you would never be able to get to the Greenbelt land because it's landlocked. So the trail itself is a loop trail. The orientation of the trail and the location of it were chosen so that it matches grades, does not require significant cuts or fill, and doesn't require any removal of any trees. Greenbelt went out and they staked most of it. Like I said, we did have to make a modification to where it became this lollipop style trail because of the development next door. So this, let me see if we can highlight it. This trail is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. It's outside the 100-foot inner riparian zone, but it is partially within the 200-foot riverfront area because it's a 30-inch or less unpaved walking trail. It is exempt from the Riverfront Protection Act's performance standards. And it's where it's a stone dust material, it's not an impervious material. So, with all that being said, we believe that there's negligible risk to the resource areas and that this will be a benefit to the community. And we ask that the commission consider a negative determination. I can answer any questions.
Sure. So in terms of the installation of the stone dust, I'm assuming that some topsoil will have to get removed, or will it just be placed down atop the existing soil?
So they're going to have to rake up some of the leaves and some of the debris in the area, but I don't think that there's any sort of significant removal of topsoil. We spoke with Greenbelt, and they're basically just going to go out and just bring some stone dust in. Greenbelt will be the one that is building the trail.
Okay. And that'll all be done by hand, I assume. I guess wheelbarrowing it in, or is there a plan to bring like vehicles through?
We'll have to work with them. It is kind of a long trail, and parts of it do get pretty far away. They may have like a small machine that helps them out.
Yeah, I guess I'll look to Jackie in terms of what considerations on that.
Yeah, I think when we have like a pre-activity meeting, maybe we can go over if there are any vehicles being used and what the plan is for storing them and how they're getting in and out. But
But the
hopefully
use of them
Greenbelt
is
has
not necessary.
experience building trails, so they know how to do it appropriately. I would
That's
hope.
fair. Yep. Yeah, but the use of them in general is not something if done correctly, it can be allowable.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand this. So it's like I'm looking on another monitor myself, and I see the satellite imagery, and it's a funny lot back there. It's a big chunk of land. How big is this lot? The green land, the conservation land? The green belt land?
I would have to double check. If I had to guess, maybe around an acre.
No, I think it's actually closer to 4. That
Okay, that was a little bit off.
somewhere in
it's
the 2 to 4 range. I can't exactly remember.
So it's a 4 acre piece of conservation land, greenbelt land, and you're proposing to put approximately 30-inch trail, a loop on this 4 acre lot for people to, I guess I'm just conceptually, what is the purpose of this?
Yeah, it's Tim Collins. Maybe I can comment on that,
Yeah.
since it's my idea, good or bad. The idea is to try to activate the space, consistent with the RFP that was put out by the town for this whole area. That's the goal, is to activate it. And so the thought was to have just an opportunity for folks to come and have a little place to walk. And then we're anticipating, you'll see in a bit when we talk about the larger project, the idea of having 2 or 3 picnic tables toward the end of the trail. So the idea is people come in, they could buy something at Zoomies or wherever and walk over and chat, and maybe they just go for a little walk on their break or something. I mean, the reality is it's not a huge trail, right? This isn't a day hike.
Yeah.
But we're trying to do the best we can. And, and we look at it, it's like, why not have a bigger trail, right? This is a lot of acreage and you have a little trail, and it's because of the wetlands, basically.
But
So
I mean, if it's 4 acres, it's the equivalent of like 2 house lots in Topsfield. So it's
yeah.
not like a huge piece of land. I'm just trying to like so they park at the lot at the other buildings and then or walk in from town, basically.
Either or, they could walk in, it's not a long walk, obviously, down School Ave from town. So they could walk from town, or they could park at in the parking in the main DPW lot.
We saw it as an interesting opportunity to take what was otherwise an inaccessible property that we've had since the 80s and have a little pocket park style, kind of conservation property that folks could enjoy.
And sir, are you with the Greenbelt?
I'm sorry, Mike Carboni with the Essex County Greenbelt.
Oh, awesome.
And so is that the official position of the Greenbelt to take this land and make it as accessible by this pathway?
Yes, when Tim approached us about the neighboring development, it allowed us a way into the property there. We had no other access into it prior to this development. So we walked it a few times with Tim on our own, and felt that this would, be an interesting use for it, or addition to it.
And that aligns with your guys' mission. Sorry, I don't know it exactly. It's to have people use the land versus keep it wild.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we're a nonprofit land trust. We, have properties all over Essex County. Some are developed with full blown parking and trail systems. Others are, natural areas. Not every single property of ours has full blown public access for varying reasons. But yes, our public use is definitely part of our mission.
Cool.
Is this lot absolutely landlocked? And so by that, I mean, physically it's landlocked. It doesn't have street access. And secondly, are there any existing easements in place that provide access, maybe not on the ground built, but over adjacent lots to get to it?
Not that we were aware of in our deeds or our records.
I mean, it's restricted now, Mike. I mean, it was given, so it's got restrictions. Can't be developed, I guess is the point. It's
Oh,
conservation land, yeah.
Correct. I mean, yes, it's owned by us. It's permanently protected.
Right.
But yes,
Just
there
to make
would
that
no
point, that may not be obvious to everybody. It's land that will never be. This is the in my thinking anyway. This is kind of the highest and best use, consistent with the mission of the green belt, and consistent with activating the area and trying to add a, granted not a significant benefit to the community, but a benefit to the community, the walking area.
for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that, apart from it just being a space for wildlife, I think that this is, a good way to activate the space. I do have a more mechanical question in terms of maintenance. What is the plan for the maintenance of the trail? Is that something that's carried out by Greenbelt? Just looking at like the long-term, functionality of the space kind of.
Yeah, it's our land, so it would be on us to maintain it. We do most of that, routine maintenance in-house. Sometimes we utilize contractors to help us, maintain everything that we own and have open for the public. So most of it is wooded, so wouldn't require much routine maintenance. There is a short portion of the trail that cuts through a grassy area that would have to be mowed, every couple of weeks, whatever, trimmed to keep that growth down. Once people start using the trail too, that'll help kind of maintain itself, so to speak.
Okay.
So part of the trail would be on not on Greenbelt property, so that would be myself and Brig, who's on the call, would be responsible for that. We would basically just follow Mike's lead and he'd do what he tells us to do.
So they would need to go over your property, Tim, right, to get to this?
I mean, part of most of that loop, that the top of the lollipop, if that's the way to say it, is on Greenbelt. The rest of it is actually on 35R. So, part of the trail is actually on 35R.
The
And are
fork,
you-
am I correct in looking at it like a little bit after the fork, it turns into their lot?
I think that's right, Jay? That's the lot line, yeah. So 95% of the top of the lollipop is Greenbelt. The rest is 35R.
So how legally, I'm curious, would you be granting an easement to Greenbelt to use your property?
Not well. I don't know. I guess the way you thought about it, it would be my property. I'd just be making it available to folks to use.
I don't know. I mean I love trails and it's great, but it's also just pristine land that's sitting there that's not touched, and this still doesn't, it solves the access, from a, I guess, physical on the ground point of view, but if there's no actual, right to use your property, then wouldn't they be developing this pathway, and this is a rhetorical question, without any guaranteed access? It almost feels a little premature.
Well, if you would want to make this contingent on me giving an easement to the Greenbelt to use that part of my land for a trail, I'll agree to it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jen, I hear you. I'm not sure is this within our jurisdiction?
Well, we're disturbing an area where there's no legal access. It's all predicated on getting access to a trail over abutting land. It's not actually providing any access to the street or anything like that. It just seems, we're disturbing this without that piece of it. I know it's a legal question for sure, but it's just, it strikes me as odd. We're not connecting it to anything. It's still landlocked.
So
You
if I could weigh in on the Wetlands Protection Act has an exemption for unpaved walkways, and they're considered exempt minor activities under the Wetlands Protection Act if they are less than 30 inches wide on public or private land, or they can be still exempt if they're up to 36 inches wide on public land. Since this is all, I believe, 30 inches, it doesn't matter from the Wetlands Protection Act point of view whether or not it's public or not. So if someone wanted to do this in their backyard, technically that sort of project would be exempt if it's under 30 inches wide, even on private land. Under our bylaw, it's a determination of whether it's a minor activity. That's sort of the language that the bylaw uses, which is kind of vague. But generally within the riverfront area, we don't have any additional requirements beyond what's in the bylaw. I mean, what's in the Wetlands Protection Act.
So then when it comes to maintenance and the construction, obviously they're gonna have to go over Tim's land and it's just gonna be up to Tim to permit that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just the kind of this whole discussion is just interesting because, the relationship between Greenbelt and me, we've had one for a long time, and we've been working on this together. So we're all together on it. It's like, to me,
Okay.
this isn't a Greenbelt project. This is a I don't know, a Tim and Greenbelt project we've been working on together. So there's, Greenbelt at the end of the day, like, I think Greenbelt would have to make a determination if they're concerned about doing this work and putting a walkway and then having that risk that they would lose access to it to the public because of something I might do. I don't think they probably have that concern now, but if they wanted to, Mike's on the phone, I'd give them an easement. We haven't talked about it because it's just understood, like, why on earth would I take that right away, right? We're that helps the property, but it'd be fine with me if that was a concern. But as kind of Jackie said, really that's up to Greenbelt to know whether they're concerned about that or not. But I'm
For
just
sure,
concerned.
for sure.
Yeah, if they are concerned, fine with me. I
Yeah,
want it to be permanent. The idea is to get it used, right?
yep, for sure, absolutely. And so my concern is just taking a pristine piece of land and, developing the neighboring land and, what's the impact gonna be? If it's exempt, it's exempt, that's,
Yeah.
that's where we fall.
I think it
And we
is.
can only, unfortunately, we look at this in bits and pieces as if evidenced by our agenda. You guys are on our agenda, 3 times? So it's really a challenge when you're doing everything in little pieces, It's like, we just do the best we can.
And I can kind of touch on that quick. As Tim kind of mentioned, this is a Tim and Greenbelt project. Then there's a Tim and Town of Topsfield project, and then there's just a Tim project, which is why it's split up that way. It just comes down to the applicants and who's co-signing what, and that's why it's broken up.
Yeah, understood. It's just that holistically, we try to look at everything. So it just makes it challenging when we're just doing this bit by bit. That said, I guess it's exempt. I will, follow Jackie's lead on this, and you've answered my questions, and it's up to Greenbelt to pursue access rights to their land.
I have
Jackie. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have no further questions before we ask for public comment.
That's what I was going to ask. If Jackie had anything else to say right now.
No, go ahead.
Okay, then we're open for public comments. If you're there, please speak up. Any public comments?
I don't think I see anyone.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then we need to make a motion.
I can make a motion that we issue a negative. This is with respect to RDA 2025-08 for 35R Main Street and 15 School Avenue, map 41, lots 133 and 31. I'll put forward a motion to issue a -5 and -6 determination of applicability. I guess that's my motion.
And just, I don't know, were we clear on the construction piece of it or any conditions on the construction of it? I know it's just stone dust, but it's going to be by hand, I think, or by cart.
Yeah, I guess I'll add the condition that there be a pre-activity meeting with our conservation agent to, finalize the process in which the stone dust will be laid. that sufficient?
Okay. All right. So,
I can second that. I can second that.
all right. And how do we vote on this? Dodge Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Ben Kayla, aye.
Good. Well, I hope your agreement and so forth works out just right. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you all.
Next, we have an NOI 307. And is there any further number to it, Jackie?
No, we've not received a DEP number on this, which means that we should not close the hearing tonight, but we can still open the hearing and discuss it, and hopefully we get a DEP number soon before our next meeting.
Can I ask a question on that? If not appropriate, let me
Yeah.
know. Just how does that, can you describe that process? Like, how do we get a DEP number?
So the application for the notice of intent was submitted to DEP, and I can tell that because it is in their system. It's on the Energy and Environmental Affairs data portal. That's where you can view it. And it shows that they marked it as having a filing date, but they did not issue a number for it. And we can't issue a permit without having the DEP number because you need to put the number on the permit. So if we close the hearing and then we don't get a permit within the 21 days, then we have a problem.
But do they have a certain amount of time to give it a number, or do we need to be calling the DEP and bugging them? Or how's it work?
I would expect they usually get it within a month. I don't know if they have a specific timeline, but it's been on their they've had a filing date, project address, etc. listed for at least a week, if not more, I think.
Yeah, we filed a bunch of NOIs to DEP in the past few weeks. They're just generally running behind right now, mostly likely due to the holidays. I'd expect it any day now.
Okay. So Jay,
Yeah,
if
I
it
would be
doesn't happen
surprised if
soon,
we
we'll
don't
call.
get it by next meeting.
Okay.
But it
All right,
could
thank you. I just wasn't sure if it was waiting on something for us to do. Sounds like it's not. It's just their
Yeah,
process.
I don't think there's any action on your part for this.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't see any comments from DEP so far. Like sometimes they'll comment if they're waiting for fee. They still could leave comments, but they haven't yet.
Okay. Yeah. Before we have any further discussion, I should probably open the hearing by reading the notice.
Oh yes.
Okay.
So I will do so.
Andrew, I just don't think I quite said what map it was on and so
Oh yeah,
forth.
yeah. Sorry, Dodds, please.
Okay, that's all right. It's NOI 307 and we're waiting for the number. School Avenue and 10 School Avenue, map 41, lot 60, Topsfield Garages, LLC, request for a redevelopment of School Ave. Now you're up, Andrew.
Okay. A public hearing will be held via remote participation through video and or audio conference Wednesday, January 14th, 2026 at 7 p.m. or time cases reached to consider the notice of intent for redevelopment of School Avenue and 10 School Avenue, map 41, lot 60, in 200-foot riverfront area and buffer zone to School Brook, applicant Topsfield Garages, LLC. This is in accordance with the requirements of 31, section 40, and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw, chapter 62. Meeting participation instructions will be listed in the meeting agenda, posted to the town clerk a minimum of 40 hours prior to the meeting date, or contact conservation at topsfield-ma.gov. Signed, Susan Winslow, runs Salem News, January 5th, 2026.
You have a future in radio.
I've read that so many times now. And I'll ask if we have a butter receipts, Jackie.
Yes, we did get a butter receipts. Early on, I had requested a correction of the abutter map, which I believe was confirmed that the additional butters were notified just from the end of School Ave.
Okay, so we're comfortable with the abutters all being notified, and we have receipts. Okay.
Okay. Does someone want to tell us about this project?
Yeah. So again, Jay Blockowitz, Hancock Associates. I'll
Okay.
pull up screen. Can everyone see this one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so again, just for some context, Main Street is right here, School Ave, which is the subject property, and then the DPW buildings over here. So as I mentioned previously, the main project that we're here representing is the redevelopment of the DPW building. So the town and Tim have been working together on the project, and the town wants to make pedestrian access to the DPW development safer. And so the way to do that is to install a sidewalk along School Avenue, which we are showing here. In the existing condition, there is no sidewalk there, but there is a roadway. So because we are converting what is currently mostly lawn to sidewalk, that is converting lawn area to degraded area. The 100-foot buffer zone and inner riparian zones here, and the 200-foot riverfront areas over here. So to offset the proposed degraded area, the DPW building site is mostly degraded area. So at a 2-to-1 ratio for mitigation, we are planting plantings in the shaded area over here. That specific planting schedule is shown in the next application that we have. But yeah, so it's a new set in the, I'm sorry. And School Avenue itself is going to be repaved as part of the project. About half of it's a standard mill and overlay. This portion over here has a slight cut down here and a slight fill up in this area. And that's just to get rid of any low areas that cause puddling or any potholes that exist in the road. There'll be a painted crosswalk to cross over to the DPW site. And then there'll be a few new light poles installed along the roadway. And I believe that's it. And I can answer any questions.
Maybe Jay, I just want to interject, if it's appropriate to say, the lights be the same lights that the town put in on Main Street, those solar lights. So we're actually proposing to use the exact same lights from the same manufacturer and everything. Give it a good look like it's town continues down here, basically.
Right.
Where's the crosswalk go?
So the crosswalk ends on this side of the road. As we'll see in the next application, it ends in the parking lot of the DPW building as proposed.
But there's no continuation of sidewalk on the other side of the street.
No, so the reason for that is there's two walls here that create this bridge over the culvert.
Okay.
Those walls are exactly 23 feet apart. 20 feet is the minimum width per fire code for a roadway or for a driveway. It really only left us 3 feet to put something here. And we didn't want to make the roadway any narrower than it already was. So it's just a painted area. It was the best alternative to make it a little bit safer, to indicate where is pedestrian area and where is vehicular area without expanding this bridge.
Mhm.
So the culvert is over here basically by the end, and okay. Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is an existing sidewalk there already, or this would be installation of a new sidewalk?
This is installation of a new sidewalk in an area that's currently lawn.
Okay. Yep. Got it.
It's within the street right of way, but it's a maintained lawn.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's some complication in this because it sounds like the mitigation planting is on a different application. So we can't vote on this tonight because we don't have a DEP number. So this is just a discussion at this point. But there's some level of complication there because we would be approving this one without actually having approving the mitigation plantings. And please correct me if I'm wrong on my understanding of that, Jackie, or anyone else.
I can comment on that, Andrew, if you'd like, because we've talked about it with Kevin in the town, and the idea was if it made sense that if this work were to be done while the town owned the land on 10 School Ave before Topsfield Garages owned it, you could require they could do the work, and then it could be required that any new buyer would have to provide an easement back to to the town for this mitigation work to be continued. How I'm phrasing it poorly, but which I'd be happy to do
Yeah.
because I'm the future buyer. So that because I get it, and it makes sense. When I buy it, I need to maintain this, which of course I would. But
Yep. No, I understand.
We can include a copy of the planting plan
Okay.
as part of the filing
Yep.
for this specific notice of intent. And maybe mark it up to show specifically the area that is clouded here.
Yep. Yeah, and I understand that might seem slightly redundant. I just because these are two separate applications, we are omitting information from this one, even though I understand that it is on a different application. But we do have to kind of, I think, treat these slightly separately because they were submitted to us separately. And I'll look to Jen for any input on this because this tends to be the type of that a difficult thing.
It feels like this is a perfect candidate for a site visit, honestly. Not that I want to propose site visits every 5 minutes, but it's maybe we used to go on a lot more site visits, but it is complicated. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on the site. It's abutting green belts, it's expanding this lawn area. I don't think it's a big deal. I just think we need our bearings, and it's hard to look at a plan in all these little. That's just my opinion anyway. Even if
And
it's
that's what I'm struggling with, I think, Jen, too, because I'm looking at that crosswalk and I'm just trying to think, how are we going to keep people out of the planting area? Because it looks like you're funneling walkers right towards that planting area, right? Is there?
yeah, the gray area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's really the parking lot. I mean, they'd be kind of continuing along as if the painted area continued to the right. That's where the foot traffic would go because that'll be paved, and the grass won't be paved. So they'll be kind of in the parking lot basically at that point.
But would
Do you
there
have
be any
any?
benefit to them cutting through that gray area to get to the buildings quicker?
Um,
Not, not
I don't
really.
think so. Yeah, I think unless
Okay.
they can get their shoes dirty, or something. I mean, someone might do it, of course, right? But I
We
don't
could
think so.
extend this a little bit
Yeah, just paint
further,
it.
like this. So this line that's here, this dash line, and generally the shape of this clouded mitigation area follows the new curb line.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
so this could funnel people out to the entrance of the parking lot itself. Maybe we even consider, going a little bit further with it. The issue is the ADA regulations for slopes. Where this is a crosswalk, it has to be ADA accessible. So we just want to make sure that where we are proposing it meets code.
Right. Right.
And
I
the
guess
comment about the site walk, sorry to get sidetracked. We assume that a site walk would probably be suggested as part of the overall filing, the main filing. So we're definitely open to that.
Mhm.
Do you have a conceptual drawing or anything like, that can orient us beyond this piece?
Yeah, it's just part of the next filing. I just don't want to get them confused together.
Well, we're
Yeah,
not taking
it's a
any.
little difficult.
Yeah, I guess because we are going to eventually get to that one
Mhm.
and we aren't going to be voting on this one tonight, I suppose we can get to that.
Why don't we
Yeah.
do?
Yeah,
I do have a
we're-
couple more things just to get, into the discussion before we move on. The, the and just, things to think about as we prepare for a site visit and, continue the discussion at our next meeting.
Right, and the public may want to come to it, or not come to it, but it's very interested in it, I know.
Yes, yes.
We've had a butter discussions and had a forum for that. So butters are aware of all this, or at
Yep.
least the ones that showed up.
Yeah, so if a quorum of the commission is coming to the site visit and wants to be able to discuss it at the site visit, then we need to invite the public and post it as a public meeting.
Mhm.
But if not, it can just be a few commissioners, but we can't have a quorum of commissioners discussing the project on site unless it's a public meeting.
I guess I'll just put a couple other things out into the air. In terms of the construction process here, you're right next to the brook. What is the erosion control plan, the sort of containment plan for, while this work happens? How is the resource area around it going to be, minimally disturbed?
Yeah, so the road, I'm sure most people are familiar with it. Main Street up here is the high spot, and it drains down to the brook, as well as the abutting property over here where the roadway goes up to the fire department. It all drains to the brook. Some of it is via overland flow, while some of it goes to these catch basins that are located right here and right here. Those catch basins have pipes that outlet to the brook. They were not visible at the time of the survey, but DPW told us they're there. We'll be installing silt sacks within each of those catch basins. We'll be proposing straw wattle that's staked to the ground along the abutting properties and around where the brook is. And then the areas closest to the brook, we will be installing silt fence in these locations. Where it gets a little bit steeper, the silt fence will help stabilize the wattle from rolling backwards and from degrading.
Okay. Does that sound sufficient, Jackie?
Yeah, that sounds good. We can, I would like to have a pre-activity meeting to make sure everything looks good before starting work, as we normally would do.
Okay, yeah, and I definitely agree. I think that sounds sufficient. I also see a note here about a stormwater report, Jackie. I don't know if you want to comment.
That's what I was going to bring up, Andrew. Good.
That.
Yeah, so we don't often have projects with stormwater reports because most of ours are single family residences that are exempt from needing a stormwater report. But this project does include a stormwater report. It is, I think with how complicated the project is, I think it is something that should be put to peer review. I think planning or ZBA also wanted to make sure that there was a peer review done, but they were okay if conservation did it because it's pretty much all in conservation jurisdiction, and we have the authority to regulate stormwater.
And given that this area, is going to be at least another month before, I don't know what the timelines are necessarily for peer review. I don't think that my understanding is that this process wouldn't necessarily be stalling anything past what it already is.
Yeah, I've already reached out for a quote from the town's stormwater peer reviewer. But it's the commission's decision officially to decide if a peer review is required.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So this is really where it comes down to like a site visit also would be helpful.
Yep.
Just to get a lay of the land. You had mentioned if there was a quorum though that we would need to open it up to the public, even if there's no discussion.
I believe if we don't have any discussion, all you do is ask questions and listen and walk around, then it doesn't have to be a public meeting.
Yeah.
That's pretty much always what happens. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a complicated site. It's a complicated application process with the multiple applications. I think I'd like to see the stormwater review. I think I'd like to see what the rest of the site what's going to hold for the rest of the site with the next application that we'll discuss. I'm not necessarily, unofficially, I'm not opposed to this work. And from my understanding, it does seem like the mitigation would be sufficient, and then this would be a net benefit to the town with fairly minimal disturbance to, the existing resource area. So, I mean, we can't vote on anything other than ordering the peer review. But I mean, I think we have our next steps on this one.
I also think it's a little difficult without knowing exactly where it's going to be housed, where the parking is, where the parking lot goes, and all those kinds of things that add into this.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, it seems like a site, I know I'm pushing for the site visit. I think that we need to do more site visits. And we historically did do site visits. I know it's a pain with the scheduling. But getting a lay of the land, asking where is this going, having a plan in front of you, and then we can come back and have a meaningful discussion about all these things. And at this point, we don't even have a DEP number, so what are we even, balking at? Not that anybody is, but I think we just need to do it. That would be my 2 cents. And I would not feel comfortable ordering the peer review, I think, before requesting it before we go out there and see the site.
Okay.
It may be unnecessary, to do the peer review, or it might be critical.
Right. I guess I'm looking at Jackie's notes, and there's also the stormwater discussion is also in the next item that we're discussing. And I guess in terms of keeping timelines as short as possible, we could schedule the site walk, and then a month from now we have another meeting, and then we request the peer review. So now we're out another 2 months before we have a chance of making a decision. I absolutely hear you, Jen. I also don't want to, I want to keep timelines as short as possible.
I could just jump in quick. We've worked with Jackie on this, but we've also worked with the ZBA. We've been told that this is going to be peer reviewed regardless. We would rather get it done sooner rather than later. And just a little bit of clarification too, this is within riverfront area. Anytime that there's a project within riverfront area, a stormwater report needs to be issued as part of the project. Our stormwater report in this one basically just says we're reducing impervious area, and therefore we're meeting the stormwater standards. There's just a lot of other calculations and everything in there. It's fairly simple, but considering this is part of the other project, I understand why you'd want to peer review it as well.
Okay. Well, if there's no objection to peer reviewing, then we'll have the peer review done.
Yeah. I guess I don't have any other questions before we move open for public comment on this.
Anyone else have any comments before we do the public? Okay, we're open for the public to have comments. Please join in. Anyone from the public there? We'd like you to join us.
I don't think I see or hear any.
There is iPad 2, his lips are moving. I don't know if he knows he's muted.
Oh,
Maybe he's not talking to us.
I gotta move mine along.
Yeah.
No one from the public?
If you're trying to speak, like, raise your hand so that we know, we can attempt to unmute you.
Oh,
Okay,
he's raising. I think he is raising his hand.
I'm gonna ask to unmute, and maybe that'll help.
Is this fellow?
iPad 2, you have to unmute.
Yes.
We'd like you to join in if a member of the public on this project, if that's why you're here.
We can't hear you because you're muted.
Yeah, he's talking away for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe he could write in the chat that he wants to participate.
Oh, this is terrible.
Yeah. I've asked to unmute, but it doesn't seem to be getting received.
Well,
Oh, it's walked away now.
getting help,
Oh, my.
maybe.
There should be a microphone icon on the bottom left of the screen that says audio, and if you press that, it should unmute your microphone.
Yeah, I know with mine, you have to move the cursor a little bit to get that bottom panel to come up. So it's like first move the cursor, the bottom panel comes up.
Or try touching it if it's the iPad.
Yeah,
Maybe
true. Yeah.
touch the bottom part of the screen and see if the buttons show up.
We have his name at all?
I don't think I think it's just iPad 2.
Is there a phone number he can call in on?
Now let me see.
Look at the invite.
Sir, we can't hear you.
I think the best we can do at this point is maybe to welcome him to put some comments in the chat. I don't know if he's able to do that.
Yeah, we're working on this item tonight, so we'll be able to hear your questions and potentially respond to them.
Well, if he can hear us, do you think we could, I mean, he could call the office tomorrow, right? We're not closing anything.
Okay,
Yeah, he's welcome to call in tomorrow or try and attend our next meeting, since we'll probably be discussing this again.
Yeah.
You can also email conservation@topsfield-ma.gov.
Or call
Get
the
in touch
office
with me.
at 978-852, or rather 887-1510.
Okay.
Is that the best we can do?
I think so.
Okay.
And before just Tim, I think it's probably worth mentioning before we move on to the next one that the sidewalk is actually a requirement in the RFP. I mean, so this was in the RFP that's the applicant or the buyer is required to do this.
Okay.
So this isn't something we're just proposing. I mean, we want to do it, but it is required. It seems like a key point.
Okay.
All right.
So I can put forward a motion to request a peer review of the stormwater report with respect to the currently unnumbered NOI 307, but with respect to School Avenue and 10 School Avenue on map 41, lot 60.
Okay, so do we need some kind of a thing that says we're going to wait till on the next meeting to discuss this, or can we just move on?
I need to hear a second and vote though on the motion.
Sorry.
I'll second your motion.
And how do we vote? Todd Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye. Okay. I think we can vote to continue this hearing until our next meeting then. What's the date of our next meeting?
February 11th.
11. Okay. I'll put forward a motion that we continue the discussion of the hearing of the unnumbered NOI 307 with respect to School Avenue and 10 School Avenue, map 41, lot 60, until our February 11th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Good. How do we vote? Todd Shamrock, aye.
Jen DeCarlo, aye.
Andrew Mulholland, aye.
Maureen Bresnahan, aye.
Ben Taylor, aye.
So we'll see you back on the 11th for this CAS meeting we discussed. All right, now we're moving on to NOI 307, blank again, we don't have a number. 10 School Avenue and 35 Rear Main Street, map 41, lot 60, map 41, lot 133, Topsfield Garages LLC, Hancock Associates. Request for redevelopment of subject lots, including construction of a restaurant and associated apertures. How about reading that legal notice, Andrew?
Sure thing. A public hearing will be held via remote participation through video and/or audio conference Wednesday, January 14th, 2026 at 7 p.m. or time cases reached to consider the notice of intent for redevelopment, including construction of restaurant and associated appurtenances in 200-foot riverfront area and buffer zone to School Brook at 10 School Avenue, map 41, lot 60, and 35R Main Street, map 41, lot 133. Applicant Topsfield Garages LLC. This is in accordance with the requirements of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and Topsfield General Wetlands Bylaw Chapter 62. Meeting participation instructions will be listed with the meeting agenda hours prior to the meeting date, or contact conservation at topsfield-ma.gov. Signed, Susan Winslow, running the Salem News, January 5th, 2026. And I will ask about butter receipts.
Yes, they were received.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and it looks like we're still waiting for a DEP number,
Yes.
and we cannot close this, but does someone want to tell us about this particular part of the project?
Yeah, Jay Polakowitz with Hancock Associates. So again, I'll start with the existing conditions plan. Main Street, School Ave, Fire Department, the DPW building is right here. In addition, there's a smaller building in back. There's a bulk material storage area over here. The septic system is in this area right here. The site, as I noted previously, is a lot of pavement. That's what the squiggly line is. Everywhere within here is pavement. Anywhere that isn't pavement is a gravel material, so that you can drive on it. It's a hard packed gravel, almost impervious. This line here, that's the clouded line, indicates the edge of tree line. From the tree line up is really the only area that on this portion of the lot that is undeveloped. It is not degraded. This is the 100-foot buffer zone and 100-foot inner riparian zone. This is the 200-foot riverfront area through here. And also noted previously, School Brook runs through here, and the whole site funnels down to it and drains to it via this catch basin, but predominantly just overland flow. So we are proposing to basically remove everything on this site. Initially, the thought was to keep the DPW building and repurpose it, but after having some surveys done of it structurally and for, I believe it was hazardous materials, maybe asbestos, it was noted that a significant amount of the building needed to be removed and rebuilt. So with that, it was more effective to rebuild the building completely. So this building is generally in the same location, but it has been pulled further away from Schoolbrook. That was a benefit for the resource area, but also to allow room for parking. We are proposing the building itself is going to be a restaurant on the first floor. First floor access is down here. On the second floor, it'll be event space. The second floor event space access is up here. We're proposing a new parking lot throughout the site. Angle parking through here. The 90-degree parking over here is a dumpster enclosure in this area. Anywhere that isn't paved is going to be landscaped. We'll get to it later at the end of the plan set, but there is a landscape plan that's been created. Over here is a gravel or crushed stone overflow parking lot. This is the grading and drainage plan for the site. In the proposed condition, we're basically matching the existing grading intent of what is out there currently. We are not changing any grades majorly. There's a couple of small retaining walls proposed, but they're all only a couple feet tall. So it's the same kind of level area, level-ish area down here to a steep a driveway around the back, and then again, a levelish area behind the building generally matches what's there existing. The most of the proposed parking lot and all of the roof area will be piped into the subsurface infiltration chamber system. This chamber system will promote infiltration and recharge and will cut down on peak rates and volumes of runoff. And in addition, it has an isolator row in it, which will provide water quality. And anything that does not make it into the chamber system will flow to this catch basin, which goes to a hydrodynamic separator, which has been sized for the contributing area to it. This will provide water quality and TSS removal. The reason that not all of the site is draining to the catch basin is because of the topography. This is just lower than the chambers themselves. In addition, the groundwater is generally high in this location. Soil testing throughout the site has determined that this is the best location for a chamber system. The drainage system has been designed to meet the stormwater standards. This is our utility plan. Again, you can see our stormwater system over here. I guess I didn't mention in the last one, any overflow from this system will discharge out of the rim of a catch basin with a beehive grate and then go to a riprap dissipation pad with a level spreader. The riprap dissipation pad will make it so that there's no, it slows down the flow from the discharge point, it causes the water to splash around and eventually gets to the level spreader, which is just a vertical granite curb later level. And that makes it so there's no point discharge from this. It'll go across the full, I believe it's 13 feet wide. This one's 15 feet wide. Same thing over here, except it coming out of a catch basin. It'll come out of a flared end section, which will be mitered into the slope. See it here. It's mitered into the slope. Same riprap dissipation pad with the level spreader. Same as existing. This will drain to the brook. The new building will have all new utilities going to it, new water services, new electric services, gas, telephone, stormwater, and also septic. So as I mentioned in the beginning, the existing septic system is right here, which is very close to that brook. So the system is being relocated way out here, outside of the 100-foot buffer zone and partially outside the 200-foot riverfront area. So this is the primary system. This will actually be what's built. And then this is the reserve area. This is not actually built. It's just sized for the site. So this, the use of a restaurant is a higher flow use. So because of that, this is a larger system than what is there currently. However, this has been sized accordingly to the rules and regulations in Title V. These plans have not been approved by the Board of Health just yet, but the Chuck Johnson, the engineer who's designing the septic system, has been working closely with the Board of Health agent. And he's aware of the project coming through, and there are no waivers or variances requested as part of this plan, so there should be no issues with Board of Health approval. All of these tanks over here are grease traps, septic tanks, pump chambers, alternative systems that help with the restaurant effluent.
How do you plan on doing snow removal in that area?
Yep, so I can get to that in 1 second. This is the planting plan that we've prepared. This was done by a landscape architect. These are all native plantings throughout the site. These are drought tolerant plants, so they can handle and whenever there's a drought. So I can go back. So snow removal in these small events can be pushed in this direction over to these areas here. And similarly, these areas can be pushed to over here. And then there's a large area right here. So there will be, if there is a large event, these smaller areas will get taken up quickly. But we have a snow removal plan, I guess you could say. These smaller snowbanks can be picked up with a machine and located over here. This area is wooded and the snowbanks can be pushed further away. This is all outside of the 200-foot riverfront area, and this is where the excess snow will go. Tim, the owner, has machinery that's has the ability to move this, and there's local contractors in the area that also can do snow removal for us. One important thing that I forgot to mention earlier is this project as a whole is a redevelopment per the riverfront area standards. Because we are reducing the amount of degraded area, we are proposing more planting than there is existing. Part of this development, it might look like there's an increase when you look at it quickly, but the large area is outside of the 200-foot riverfront area. But we are proposing a lot of plantings throughout the site. And from that last presentation that I gave, this area is the area that's reserved for the mitigation for School Avenue.
Can you point out, can I ask you to point out where the trail leaves as well? I think I know, but I wanted to see if you could point it out.
Right here.
Yeah, okay.
So the thought is these are some picnic tables that we're showing here. These are just, your standard wood picnic tables. They can be picked up and moved, but you could, they're doing, as part of the restaurant, you can do takeout and catering. You could go for a walk, get some food, sit on the picnic tables, kind of make it an activated hangout area. So that was our thought.
Okay. This is a big project. So I think to start, I would definitely like to attempt to schedule a site visit. And I do see that I know we haven't opened to public comment yet, but I'll just say that I do see that note saying that a public site visit is being requested. So that would be, a quorum of the commission, and we would open it for the public as an open meeting. I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but in terms of scheduling that does start to become